Hello everybody and welcome. In this video we'll make a short flight from Hooks Memorial Airport, that is Kilo Delta Whiskey Hotel, to Conroe North Houston Regional, that is Kilo Charlie X-Ray Oscar, to demonstrate the behavior of the avionics and autopilot of the Beech 18 in Microsoft Flight Simulator when shooting an RNAV GPS instrument approach. We'll be landing on runway 14 in Conroe, which has an LPV, that is localizer performance with vertical guidance, available for the RNAV approach. This runway also has an ILS, and I'll show how that works with the avionics during an RNAV approach in this aircraft. Note that the Beech 18 we'll be flying is a Denarc mod of the Carenado Payware version. This is an excellent mod that gives much more realism as far as engine behavior and other system behaviors is concerned. I'll put a link to the information on this mod below. Note that the mod I'm using in this demonstration video is version 1.4, whereas right now version 1.5 is out, but I have not installed it yet. I don't know that any modifications have been made to the behavior of the avionics, so presumably the original Carenado version will behave similarly. In the interest of time, we'll start with engines running and ready to go on runway 17 right at Hooks, and the weather is set for clear skies. So first thing we're going to do is set up the flight plan. So we'll go to the flight plan page and we will put in where we're starting from. So starting from Hooks, so we'll use keyboard entry. So that's Kilo Delta Whiskey Hotel. And our destination then will be Kilo Charlie X-Ray Oscar, Conroe North Houston. So enter that in there. We'll go ahead and set up our approach since it's a very short flight. So we'll click on our procedures. So select approach. We want runway 14. So you'll notice there's an ILS and localizer approach, and we're going to use the RNAV for runway 14. We're going to be show you the approach that we'll be using. So RNAV GPS runway 14. So we'll be coming on runway 14. We'll use the check-ru transition. So we'll come in check-ru. That will take us into ACSTEP, then to FOBNA as our final approach fix, and on odd day, and then to the runway. Even though we're not using it, you should note that this airport, as I mentioned, has an ILS, and I'll just make a note that the ILS frequency is 108.7, so we will have that on standby, and I'll tune that in at appropriate time to show you how that affects behavior of the avionics. So we will come down here and we will select check-ru, and I will go ahead and activate that. So we have that on. So we'll go to our default nav page. So as soon as we take off, we'll be making a right turn, as you can see. So without further ado, let's get on with our takeoff. So let's see. We have landing lights on. We'll put nav lights into flashing mode. Let's turn off our ignition switch from left engine. So we've got our temperatures, pressures looking good. We've got our cylinder head temperature looking good. We'll add a little carb heat once we get going. We're at about 150, 160 feet, and we are good to go. So making sure we have our tail wheel locked, and we will release the park brake and bring up our throttle to 36.5 inches of mercury. runway. Keep it on the center line. And there's 80 knots. So we rotate. And we are airborne. So brakes. Bring up the gear. Throttle back to 33 inches. 2200 RPM. Everything's looking good. Okay, we'll make our right turn. On speed about 120 knots. Flaps, we didn't use flaps for takeoff, so we're good there. So I will turn off our landing light and our zoom in a little bit here. Oh, we can't zoom anymore. So we're en route to Chekru. So we're looking for an altitude of 3,100 feet in this area. So we'll climb to 3,100, bring down our throttle a little more, bring down to 2,000 RPM for climb. Okay, and we're just about on course. So I'm going to set the autopilot on, so we'll turn on roll mode, we'll turn on heading mode, and we'll keep pitch on, so for a gentle climb. Well, not that much. Bring it down a bit. So, turn heading back a little bit, and we can put it on nav mode. So we'll put on nav mode. So nav mode with this dial over here on the right. Okay, so now nav mode, so we better acknowledge. Acknowledge frequency change. Okay, so everything's looking good. Temperatures, pressures, oil temperatures may be getting a little warm, so we'll cool them off just a bit. And we'll bring in a little bit of carb heat here. Okay, so we have roughly 10 minutes until we hit Chekru, and we will be all set for that. I think we will level out at 3,100 or so. So put on altitude hold mode. So slightly above that. So everything is looking good. We'll bring us down to cruise power, and RPM about 1850. Okay, there we go. And we can turn our fuel pumps off. Everything's looking fine. Okay, so we will dial in the into the standby. We'll dial in 108.7 for the ILS on both. We'll do it on both nav1 as well as nav2. So nav1 108.7, 108.7. So we're dialed in there. nav2 108.7. So we are ready when I want to switch over. Okay, so everything's looking good. We've got a few minutes, so I will go on ahead and I will come back when we're closer to Chekru. Okay, everybody. Hello and welcome back. We are now just under 3 minutes to our turn at Chekru. So again, just to see where we are. So we'll be here. Once we reach the initial approach fix of Chekru, we'll want to start descending to 2,100 feet and be down to 2,100 feet by X-step. We'll then make the turn to 140 degrees, which is the runway heading. Stay at 2100 feet. We'll set up for our landing configuration. So hopefully we'll be in all landing configuration, flaps, gear down, etc. by the final approach fix, and then we'll take us on into the runway. And again, I will show what happens when we tune in and tune back out the ILS in terms of the instruments. So we're now 2 minutes. Make sure we're all set up. You see I've put our course set to where we're headed, 348 or thereabouts. And we will wait and make the turn here in just under 2 minutes. So everything's looking good. Again, cylinder head temperature, oil temperatures, fuel pressures, oil pressures, and our carb heat, our carb air temperatures in the green. Might move those up just a little more. And again, I'm on, just to repeat it, we switched on roll mode and heading mode initially, but then we use this dial over here to put us, you can see better with this view, to put us into nav mode. Once we turn onto the final landing heading, so at the intermediate fix X step, then you will see the mode change from term to LPV in the GNS 530. You'll see that this will change from term to LPV. At the same time, you'll see the glide slope starting to come in on VOR2. You will see no glide slope come in on the HSI. In fact, this is giving us now lateral guidance. This is not giving, the VOR2 is not giving us lateral guidance, whereas the HSI is. Once we turn onto the intermediate fix, that is X step, then you'll see that vertical guidance will come in on VOR2. Okay, so now we're making the change to 053. So I will change our course to 053, and we will start our descent to 2100 feet. Okay, so back off on the throttle. Put us, once the turn is done, we'll put us in pitch mode. Now notice, even though I'm pitching down, it looks like I'm pitching up, but I'm actually turning my mouse wheel forward. But that's bringing us down. It looks like it's going up on the dial, but it's actually coming down. And you'll see now down descending, go a little faster than that. And we've got about a minute to get down to 2100 feet. A little over a minute. So once we get to X step, again, you'll see this term change to LPV. You'll see the glide slope and vertical guidance, or not glide slope. You'll see the glide path come in on VOR2. Since we're not using the ILS at this time, you won't see the glide slope. We're not using the glide slope. We will turn that on. I will leave the GNS 530 in GPS, the CDI mode in GPS. We'll switch this over to the ILS frequency, and you will see the glide path then come in on the HSI. Glide path will continue to come in on VOR2 as you're seeing now. Okay, so passing 2,500 feet, and we're just about down to our altitude of 2,100 feet. So 40 seconds, or a little less than 40 seconds, we'll start our turn to 140 degrees. 143. All right, I'll start turning the course indicator in to 143. And here's our turn coming along now. There's 143. Thereabouts. Okay, stop our descent. A little bit past our 2,100 feet. Okay, you now notice that we're now in LPV mode, and you see the glide path has come in on VOR2. but you don't see a glide path on the HSI, which I would have expected to get both lateral guidance and vertical guidance on one instrument. But actually you get lateral guidance on this and vertical guidance on this. We're now going to slow down to get us to where we can put down our gear. So landing gear, extension speed, operating speed in this airplane is 109 knots. So we've got a little bit of slowing down to do. While we're slowing, I will put on, tune in the ILS on nav 1. So you'll notice now, all of a sudden we have glide slope come in. So you see the glide path triangles here. We still have it on VOR2, and I don't know if lateral guidance is from the GPS or is from the ILS, not that it matters. We take that off, and you'll see those go away. Similarly, if we put on nav 2, you'll see, well, you won't, well, we're actually on the wrong frequency, 108.7. Okay, 108.7. So actually the horizontal guidance comes in now. Vertical guidance was already there, but it may be reading the ILS for that. But we'll take that off for the rest of the approach. Okay, so we're just about down to our speed where we can put on the gear. So now we'll go through our checklist. So carb heat is okay for now. Gas, we've got fuel in our front tanks, and our front tanks are selected. We'll turn on our fuel pumps, make sure those are on, and we're down to, okay, need to speed up a bit. We'll put gear down, and first flaps down. Okay, we're still on autopilot. So you see that, you see the runway up there, and you see, oops, okay. And we'll bring us up to 2,000 RPM as well. Full rich mixture. Okay, a little bit. Okay, we're gonna add another 10 degrees, 15 degrees of flaps. So we're coming in. Okay, so we're now approaching where the glide path is coming in. We're coming in now to our final approach fix, which is FOBNA. I'm going to switch over the autopilot now to low norm, which is the same as approach on newer autopilots, and that should follow the glide path then all the way down. So all I have to do is use the throttles to control the speed. When I get close to runway, I'll put in final 15 degrees of flaps. You notice also the glide slope. Capture light has come on. The outer marker you see is flashing. Everything looks pretty good. At this point, we'll turn on the landing light, and the flashing nav lights are flashing. So you notice, even though there's problems with the landing light and autopilot in this plane, once you set everything up, turning on the landing lights doesn't seem to affect that. So again, we're continuing our approach. Everything's looking pretty good. So again, I'm just using the throttle to control our speed. We're on the glide path with the autopilot. Once we get a little closer, we'll put another notch of flaps in. I didn't mention on this approach, the decision altitude for LPV is 436 feet, so that's 200 feet AGL. I'll turn off the autopilot probably a little bit before that. So 436 feet. So we're now crossing 1,400 feet. Approach is looking pretty good, nice and steady. Maybe I'll slow down, just reduce throttle a little bit, slow down just a bit. Make sure our tail wheel is still locked. It is. Brakes, park brake is off. Everything's looking good coming in, nice and steady. Okay, at this point, we'll go ahead and props full forward. Okay, coming down to 1,000 feet. We'll put our final flaps in. That'll slow us down a bit more. again, I'll want to be about 80 to 90 knots, 80 knots or so at touchdown. We'll add a little more throttle in here. So 800 feet. Again, you can see we'll set our course. We're right on laterally and just slightly below the glide slope there, but that's coming back up. Add a little throttle. Okay, almost to our decision height, decision altitude. Okay, I'm going to take the autopilot off and we'll bring it in the rest of the way manually. And let's hope for a decent landing. So it looks like my Pappies, looks like we're right on with, well, actually I don't know, those are the Vassies, I guess. Okay, fly it right onto the runway, main gear first. A little bounce there, not very clean. But we made it down. Okay, we'll take off our tail wheel lock, brake. We didn't make that first taxiway, but we'll make the next one. Okay, anyway, that's it. You saw how the avionics behaved. Autopilot and avionics, glide path, everything was fine, so no problem. And thanks for watching.